All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Why We Hunt. As we try to unveil the mysteries of why we're compelled to do trophies, achievements, in-game collectibles, and keep up with your mobile game shenanigans. And today we got a guest, DKShadow. You want
Hello.
to introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, sure. I'm DKShadow. People, if they know me, they'll know me by that name across any platform, I guess, including Twitter and PSN. I am a community manager in the video games industry, and obviously I'm a massive trophy hunter. Yeah, I think that's the short version.
Yeah, level 79, 443 plats. Quite the
Mhm.
numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be 444 tomorrow. So
What are you working
it'll
on?
be I'm currently working on Fallout 4 for
Oh, nice.
Platinum 444.
Oh, that's
So that is not a coincidence. That's all planned.
all planned
So
out. All
yeah,
right. Yeah, sounds like a good four four number. You made me very
yeah.
satisfied by that. Okay, so before we get into the trophy stuff, what was your background in gaming? Like, what sort of systems did you start with? What kind of genres are you or were you a big
Yeah.
fan of? Are you a big fan of?
I grew up on PlayStation, which I feel like is probably the correct answer, but it's also the truth. So yeah, I grew up on PlayStation. I've had all of them, even the PlayStation TV or whatever. I even have that. Um,
Hey,
so yeah,
I
with
like my TV.
PlayStation.
I like my PS TV.
Yeah, I think mine is literally in storage somewhere. I'm sorry to say, but I have it. It is somewhere. It's never being sold probably. But I grew up on that, and then I used to be a PC guy as well. I would play both. Although for the last 14, 15 years or something, I've been just consoles, just PlayStation all the way. I used to play more platforms. I used to work as a video games journalist as well. So I guess that kind of answers what I used to play, and what I still play is everything. Having reviewed games for a number of years, I just found a love for any kind of video game, and these days I play just about anything. Well, just about anything, provided it has a platinum trophy, but otherwise, no restrictions in terms of genre. But yeah, it's all these days. It's all PS4 with the occasional Vita, but otherwise all PS4.
Yeah, so I mean, video games pretty much your almost your life, I guess, if you would
Mm-hmm.
say that, career and all that stuff. Um,
Exactly.
so, when did you get into trophy hunting? Like right when they came out, I'm
Yes.
guessing because you said you were with PlayStation from the get
Yeah.
go.
I've been a trophy hunter since day one. So since the very day that trophies were introduced and added to Super Stardust HD, that was the day I earned my first trophy, and everything since is it's history. So I've been on it since day one, and I'm hoping to never stop. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Trophy is probably carrying on through the foreseeable future, PlayStation wise, I would imagine. Now that their
I hope so.
systems in place and all that. Um,
Yeah.
so would you consider yourself like a completionist? Like you have to finish games, or if you don't like it, you just kind of move on, or um,
These days there are so many games now, and so many games that take such a long time. We're getting more and more, 50, 60, 70, 80 hour open world games and all this. We're getting more and more of them, and so I think it's become impossible to play everything that I want while also being a completionist. So that's something I've never aimed for, especially like I mentioned, because I used to be a games journalist. I used to play a lot of games because I had to, not specifically because I wanted to. which means my list even years ago was a lot of games that I had no intention of ever earning the platinum on, or ever getting 100% trophies on. And so it's just not been possible, really, to stay 100%. So it's just never been a goal of mine. I like I said, I play platinums. For me, I'm kind of the thing that decide whether I play something. Obviously, the game has to look interesting and fun to me, but otherwise, it needs to have a platinum. Otherwise, I'm very unlikely to play it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting because I know you said you were you started at the early days of the trophies, and I don't know if you remember, but it was like there was a lot of games that didn't have platinums. So even from the get go, would you not play something if it didn't have a plat?
I mean, I used to be less strict about it. I used to play plenty of games that didn't have platinums in them. But I mean, again, the very first game, Super Stardust, that got trophies, didn't have a platinum.
Yeah.
That didn't. The first platinum hit with Uncharted 1, which was, of course, my first platinum. But again, there's just so many games these days that have platinums. There's just no need for me, I think, to play some that don't. I feel like I get more out of the game if there's also a shiny platinum at the end of it.
Okay, so there, just having a plat does influence your decision to, I don't know, purchase or play. Even if the game is not as good, would you?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think there's so many good games with platinums. I see little reason to play good games without platinums. I have plenty of good games with platinums to play already. It's just it's just one of the things that help me kind of filter out what I play, because there's so many options these days. So like when I pick what to play, it's obviously what I feel like playing, and sometimes that's a quick game, couple hours. Sometimes it's a 100-hour game. Yeah, I've played Final Fantasy 14 for like 7,500 hours.
Ooh,
Most of which was after I got the platinum. So it happens that I play without aiming for a platinum, but usually when I pick a game, it's like, does it look like something I would enjoy, and does it seem like a platinum I would enjoy obtaining? There are games where I've dropped out halfway through because I just didn't enjoy it, or I didn't enjoy the grind for the platinum, or whatever it might be. So it kind of, again, with so many options, so many things to play, it kind of needs to be something I enjoy and an attainable platinum, or at least a platinum that it can take a long time. That's fine. As long as I enjoy the ride, then if it takes over 100 hours or whatever, that's totally cool.
Okay. Yeah, because it's been kind of strange of late. Just more and more games getting platinums, like you said. But then we'll get lists. Like just the other day, we had Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles with no platinum, which seems it seems, I don't know. Seems like why didn't that have a plat? But
yeah, I don't fully understand, especially when it's in the AAA space. And I mean, maybe you can argue that Crystal Chronicles isn't a AAA game, but it's by a AAA publisher. So it's weird, I think, when they don't have platinums, because from what I've noticed, oftentimes you'll see the games that don't have platinums might be from smaller teams that don't know that they can actually push to get a platinum in pretty much anything. But it's because obviously big AAA publishers, they will know this. So I don't fully understand why it happens. I mean, you even see some Battle Royale games that are free to play. Some of them have platinums. Sometimes even before they fully come out, they might have a platinum and trophies and a platinum during the closed beta even. And then you see other, like, Hyperscape or whatever. Same thing, free to play Battle Royale game, no platinum. And I don't fully understand why that happens. It's very weird, but that is one thing that, admittedly, I looked at Hyperscape, it's like, that might be fun. I saw the trophy list, and I'm immediately like, no, never mind, I'm not going to play it. Because again, I could be spending that time earning a platinum instead, and so I'd rather do that.
Okay. And what does the I don't want to say the value of the platinum, but do you know why that matters to you so much? Like, for example, if you're playing, I mean, you play like some of the fast plats, right? That are like,
So I used to play those all the time. I stopped buying them about a year ago. I still have a few installed that were basically left over from before I stopped buying them. So I have like maybe 10 or so easy platinums left. Which by easy, I don't have any of the one of the recent games that takes like 5 minutes to platinum. I don't have any of those anymore. I don't buy any of those anymore. I have a couple of like hidden object games that take like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. I have a number of those left over from before I stopped buying them. But I think because and that's like you asked about value, and I think that is one thing that has changed, especially in the last year, where I think platinum in general has been devalued so much because you can essentially buy a platinum for like
Yeah.
$1 and you get it in 5 or 10 minutes. It's like, well, it's just when that started becoming the norm, that was when I was like, I'm done buying these. It's ruined the whole thing for me, and it's made it. Well, it's not ruined trophy hunting by any means. I still have very much into that, but it's ruined trying to be competitive to me, because being competitive with trophies now means that you have to play, the same 10-minute platinum 5 times because everyone else does that too, and I don't find that enjoyable.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
think platinum's very much devalued, unfortunately, but it's not changed my enjoyment in earning the ones that I still go for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know, but I've been contemplating like even leaving trophies and stuff for quite a while, and
Mm-hmm.
that is like the main reason. Because I was
Yeah,
very competitive on the leaderboard, and then it just became like, I don't want to say a joke, but like that's all it boils down to now is
yeah. I mean, games are made. A lot of games are now made not as a game, but as a trophy list, basically, like a
yeah,
playable trophy list. And it's just, I mean, there are a ton of people that enjoy going to those, and by all means, people should play whatever they want. Who am I to say otherwise? Like I've always said, people should just play whatever they feel like, and if that is 50 super easy platinums back to back, by all means. If that is what you enjoy doing, do it. I used to be one of those people myself, so I'm not one to judge. Like I have plenty of platinums that are an hour or less. So I've been there. I'm just done with that. But there's something for everyone, and obviously some publishers have caught on to that, and so now games have literally been pumped out specifically as here's an easy platinum. It's less about the game. It's just about it takes 20 minutes to finish. Um, so but again, there's something for everyone, and that's totally fine.
so I'm guessing you're not a fan of these. You don't actually have to finish the games. You just gotta play them for 5 minutes, even though there's an actual game there sometimes that's pretty good. But
Yeah, but people don't. I guess that might actually be another issue that kind of a secondary issue is a lot of these very quick platinums. From what I've seen, I've not played them in about a year. They it seems like you earn the platinum like very early on in the game itself,
yeah,
and it like more so than just devaluing the platinum, it also devalues the game itself, because you might have a developer who's they might have put in a year or who knows making a little game, and maybe it's actually like 10 hours long, but a lot of people will buy it because of the trophies, and they will never see 95% of that game, and
yep.
that's a damn shame, to be honest. But again, if people buy games for whatever reason they have, but I just wonder how many people would buy games that are easy platinums for other reasons than because they are easy platinums. How many people actually see those games in their entirety? Probably
Y-
not many.
yeah, I agree with you on that because I also wonder a lot of these. I mean, they'll be on like Switch and stuff like that too, and I wonder what their sales on Switch are. Like, I'm thinking probably not too much, because you'll see
Yeah.
if you go onto like profiles, like 1,000 people play this game, or multi thousands of people. I think it's kind of slowed down a bit. I think people are kind of realizing as well, kind of like you, where it's just it was fun for a while, and then it kind of started just becoming, like you said, the norm and things like that. Because if you look at how many people have played each of these stacks, um, the older lists, I mean, they have been around for longer, but In general, they're more like in the thousands per stack, and then more recently, I looked up. It seems like that number has been going down, and then I wonder because if a lot of these too, if you saw them on the store, if trophies didn't matter at all, like they weren't a thing, a lot of these you probably would just not even give any attention to at all.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, again, like it's difficult. I mean, even trophies aside, because we're getting so many games these days.
Yeah.
It's I think it's easy to judge these games for they're just easy platinum games, but really. It makes I wonder like would they would probably still exist if they weren't easy trophies, easy platinums. They just wouldn't sell. And so what is worse, right? What is worse than that the game is sold with a very easy platinum, or that the game is made and nobody plays it and nobody buys it and the developer stops making games? Which one is worse? I don't know. Like if they're made as easy to platinums, I feel like let's not have them. But I wonder how many of them would have like just looking for how are we going to get our game sold, and slapping an easy list on there might be the only way to even get any attention because there are so many games. So maybe it's the lesser evil, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, that is an interesting point you bring up. I do feel like certain publishers do make the trophy list easier, and I wonder too. I almost wonder too if they do that and then they use that as kind of their. I don't want to say they market the fact that they're going to give it an easy trophy list to people, but it'll increase their sales numbers, and then more developers will go to them, and then they'll continue the cycle of adding easy lists. But I feel kind of bad when people. I mean, the developers work really hard to make these games, and I feel kind of bad when people just buy it, play it for 5 minutes, and that's it. But I mean,
yeah, but would you not feel even worse if they didn't buy it at all because it didn't have an easy platinum? That's kind of that's the question, right? Like it could be even worse if nobody even bought it at all.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
But it's unfortunate that the way for them to sell these games comes at the cost of the value of the platinum. That is still undeniably unfortunate, I think. And again, like obviously not every trophy hunter is going to be bothered by this, because a lot of hunters, and this is again to each their own, people can enjoy it however they want, but a lot of people, a lot of hunters, I used to be one of them again, they don't care about the game. They just want to see the number go up. They just want more trophies, more platinums. So it doesn't matter if it's good game, bad game, quick game, slow game, whatever it is, as long as they get more platinums. And I used to be one of those. I didn't give rat's ass about whether the game was good or bad or cheap or whatever. If it was a quick platinum, I'd be on it. And there's value in that to some people. It's just, again, being devalued, I think, as time goes on. I do worry that it's only going to keep getting worse.
I think it will.
So, and that's the thing. Like, so you're suddenly, I mean, you're already in this situation where either you go all in, right? You go all in and you buy the same game 3 or 4 times or whatever. You stack it 5, 6 times. And you play the same thing over and over, and you might be like, oh, well, it's only a 10-minute game, and it's only like $1, sure, but then you buy it 4 times, and you play it 6 times or whatever, then it's no longer a 10-minute game at $1, it's 5 times that, right? And if you do that every single week, well, before you know it, you've spent dozens and dozens of hours every week playing games you otherwise wouldn't even have touched, just because you wanted more platinums. And again, people can do that, that's fine, but it sets I feel like a dangerous precedent where like earning a platinum is no longer as cool as it used to be, because well, they're a dime a dozen now. I mean, if you really want, you could probably earn 5 platinums every single day of the week, if you really wanted to, if you just bought the right games.
Oh, I'm sure you could do that in an hour a week. Or an hour a day, 5 plats.
Yeah, I mean, I see accounts that they earn hundreds of platinums in a year, and you can easily do that. That's not a problem. If you're willing to buy the correct games, you can very easily, like you can very quickly, in less than a year, have more platinums than I have right now, and I've spent I've been on this for 12 years. You can very easily overtake me in less than one if you buy the correct games.
Yeah.
And that's just so. It's not like I used to have a lot of platinums, but these days, compared to people that don't trophy hunt, I obviously have a lot of platinums. But for people that go all in, I still have like rookie numbers at 400 and something, right? So it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like comparing and leaderboards and stuff, was that ever a thing for you? Did you ever try to like increase your rank and stuff like that? I mean, I know now you said times with the times of change, trophy wise, but was that a thing for you back in the day?
It was mainly I'm from Denmark, so my PSN account is Danish, and so I used to really care about like being as high as I could on the Danish leaderboard on PSN profiles, but like I used to be top 3 for a long time. I was probably number 1 in the beginning before the website began. I was probably the top of that list. But then we started getting all these stacks, and I started like playing games outside of I started putting a lot of time into games that didn't earn many trophies, and so I fell behind. But I still remained within top 10. I don't know. Like last I looked, I was still top 10. But again, the way things are going with all these stacks and these super fast games, if I'm still top 10, I'd be surprised. And if I remain top 10 for the next couple of months, I'd be very surprised as well. So it's big. I used to care, and now it's become too. There's too much work in games that I don't enjoy involved in staying competitive, so I don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's just like a job at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, many will say, and it is true that because I don't play a game that doesn't have a platinum, and because I like rarely even play something that has a platinum unless I want to earn that platinum. Some people will tell me, "Oh, isn't it already a job?" But the thing is, that's just how I enjoy playing, and that's. I mean, I'm sure that's true for people that still do these, 10 platinums a week on these easy games. Is that if they enjoy it, it doesn't feel like a job to them. But I would wonder if that keeps being the case.
Yeah, I almost feel like it's starting to warp our sense of quality of game as well. Because I've talked with people and they'll say, "Oh, that game was kind of fun," but then I ask them, if it didn't have a plat that you earned in 10 minutes, like you only played it for 10 minutes, and you say it's fun, but if it had no plat, would you feel the same way, or is it just that little bit of dopamine you got or whatever from getting a plat in 10 minutes?
Yeah, and that's. I mean, the thing is, like, I think most games are probably fun if you play them for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like if you did these 10-minute platinums, if you played them for 5 hours, it might be a different story. You might, it might not be enough of a game. It might not have enough depth or whatever. Again, I don't know. I haven't played a lot of these recent ones. Maybe they're amazing. They could be 9 out of 10 games compared to their price, obviously. But then there might be a 9 out of 10 $1 game. But people are probably never going to find out because they play it for such a short amount of time.
No, there's some of them I've played that I really enjoyed, but I was actually kind of upset some of them. The first one that really got me upset was there was a list called Metagal, and it was like 5 minutes. I don't know if you played this one.
I think I have that one, and probably have it 2 or 3 times. I think I did that last summer, and that was, I think, among the very last of those super easy ones that I did before I was like, enough is enough, and then I just stopped buying them. So that was among my last batch, I think.
Yeah, I was actually pretty upset because I'm a pretty big Mega Man fan, and I was like, "Oh, this game is like exactly like Mega Man, it looks sweet." And then the list is like, "Okay, no one ever played this because it's 5 minutes long."
Yeah.
And then I held off playing it for a long time because I was just annoyed at the state of things. And
but I mean, would you have known about that game if you didn't know? And when you found it, did you go in, like, did you stumble upon it on the store, or did you see, oh, it's Retalaika, it's an easy platinum, and that's why you looked into it? What happened first?
No,
The knowledge of the platinum or the discovery of the game?
I think if seeing the list and stuff, like typically what I used to do is refresh profiles every night to look at the new trophy list to see what games came out. I would have discovered it because there was a game called Gun Vault Burst or whatever, which is also like a Mega Man game, but no one's played it because it's 10 hours long. But I really enjoyed that game. I really enjoyed getting all the trophies in that.
Nice.
So I think I would have found it if it didn't have a super fast list. I think when I first saw it, I didn't even know it was Ratalaika. But I kind of got a gist of what the game was from the art and stuff like that. And but then I saw the list and I was like, well.
Yeah. But I mean, again, like, I guess you were sort of filtering, even though you still ended up playing it. You're trying to like filter what you play based on this list, and that is again that is why I don't play anything without a platinum anymore. It's because that is just a very convenient, easy to use filter for deciding what am I playing and what am I not. Instead of having to like spend hours and hours looking into every single game, I can just look at the list first and be like, oh, no platinum, never mind. I'm not going to waste an hour looking into this game because I'm not going to play it anyway. So it helps save time having that immediate filter, I think.
Yeah, but I feel like having a plat or not shouldn't, I don't know, deter tons of people from not playing it, because then it's not fair because it's not the game itself. Like, we have the opposite issue then, right? Like, instead of having people buying the game just purely for the trophies, we have people avoiding games because the trophies there's no platinum or the list is too hard. Now
exactly. So either way, the system is broken.
Yeah, it's influencing our decision of what we buy and what we play. And not for everybody. I know people.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of games that I've looked at and like, that looks very, very good. And then it's like, oh, no platinum, never mind. And even though I'm like totally sold on these games, I just see, oh, no platinum, never mind. And I fall victim to this all the time, so it is the reverse problem, I guess. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like trophies, I don't want to say are a detriment at times, but they definitely have its influences on us and our and whatnot. Not everybody, because like you said, the casual people. Well, we shouldn't call them casual, because I know
the average player, the normal person.
Well, even I was gonna say I don't want to call people casual because the people that are really good at specific games have like 2 plats, and it's like the game itself and whatever. Like I don't know if you play like online multiplayer or whatever, but it's like the people that are really good that just kill you without you like even seeing what the heck is happening. They probably have like 1 plat, and it's in that game itself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that happens a lot with Souls games. Like you'll see a lot of people. In my experience, anyway, I don't know how true this is on a bigger scale, but a lot of people I see that will have platinums in Souls games. That's what they have. They have platinum in Souls games, and that is it. But they are then, like geniuses at these video games. But that's all they play. And that, again, these are very difficult platinums. Hats off for even getting them. But they don't care about the platinum number. They just enjoy the game so much. They want to get most enjoyment out of it, and earning the platinum is just that extra thing you can do to kind of get more out of your favorite games. So that's similar. I mean, to answer the question, I don't tend to play online games that much, although I have been playing a bit of Rocket Arena recently, which is actually very underrated, and I feel like that game got shafted undeservedly. It's good fun, I think.
What is Rocket Arena?
It's an the weird thing is it's an EA published. It's one of their EA originals, So it's a 3-on-3 sort of shooter, but it's not. It's less about killing people and more about knocking them out of the arena, like knocking them to the edge of the arena, like off the edge or like far off to the sides or into the sky or whatever. So every arena is like a big bubble in a way, and if you hit the edge of that, you're knocked out, and so you're trying across various game modes to knock out the other team using rockets in one way or another usually. So it's like a 3v3 sort of shooter, but like a very like some people call it like a party game. More, it's way more party game than it is Call of Duty. Like it's way more playful and silly.
Okay.
But the game, like what I mentioned about it being, it didn't do very well. And the game came out I think mid-July, and to like no fanfare. And I think the issue was that it was too expensive. And so within like literally 3 weeks, the game dropped. It was 83% off after 3 weeks.
Oh.
And so the game was sold for like $5 after 3 weeks. And so a number of people jumped in, and you can still play it. There are still enough people playing it, but it's not done as well as a typical EA game has by any means. And it deserves better because it is good fun. But I think, pick it up on a sale. Not necessarily 80% off, but pick it up on a sale because it's not, it's quite repetitive, but it's fun otherwise. Fairly grindy platinum too. I'm working my way through it. It's over 100 hours to platinum, I think.
So you mentioned trophies like adding more to the game. Do you feel that? I mean, that certainly was definitely a good thing back in the day. However, I feel like even in like these AAA games and stuff, the lists have been getting easier, and we don't have to fully finish the games anymore. Does that ever, I don't know, cross your mind or influence you to? I mean, I'm guessing after you get the plat, you just move on for the majority of the games.
Yeah, the only exception to that really was Final Fantasy 14, which I think took probably about 1,000 hours to platinum, but I've played it 6,500 hours after getting the platinum, and it's received no new trophies since, even with several expansions, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, typically the literally within 60 seconds of finishing a platinum, a game will usually be deleted off my PS4. The only exceptions is if it's a game that has multiplayer, then I might leave it installed in case someone else needs help with something. But generally speaking, the second I have the platinum, I move on. Because there's so many games to play, I don't really want to linger unnecessarily. But as for trophy lists getting easier, I feel like it's, if you look at first party, if you look at like Spider-Man and God of War and that kind of thing, I actually like those lists, but not because they are easier. Like they still take 20, 30, 40 hours to finish, but they're not difficult. They're just a little bit time consuming. But the thing I like about them, and this is actually my favorite type of trophy list, is the trophy list where you cannot miss anything and where you don't have to use any guide ever. Those are the best lists by far, like not even a question.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No multiplayer, perfect, and then nothing missable. That combination, perfect list to me. Which means Spider-Man is a perfect list, God of War is a perfect list, because you don't worry about anything. You just sit back and enjoy it, and eventually, if you keep playing, you get the platinum. That's perfect.
I agree with your you don't have to use a guide statement, because oh man, like I'm sure you've played them where those collectible guides, there's tons of missables, and you gotta basically just follow the guide to a T, do what they do in the guide, and it just makes the game unfun. It's just like I want to play, I want to experience myself.
Yeah.
You break all this immersion too using this guide and spoil things for you potentially, and all this. But
yeah, I mean, there's an easy platinum. I'm sure you know this game called Erica that was on PS Plus a little while ago.
Yeah.
And that, I think that platinum takes like 5 or 6 hours, which is fast. And obviously, as a PS Plus member, I have that game. But looking at the list, you have to finish the game like 7 times or 9 times or whatever. I'm like, No, I'm not doing that because you have to like do very specific things for every single playthrough to earn the trophies. Like that just sounds extremely boring to me. Like the game, I would much rather the game had been 50 hours to platinum, and then I didn't have to follow a checklist. I would much rather spend more time and then just play. You know, so it's yeah. So the more games we get that don't require lists, or maybe you look up one or two things if you're unsure about something. But generally speaking, if you cannot miss anything, if you don't worry about it, that's the best time I think you can have.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be one of those just follow the guides and stuff like that, and it didn't bother me too much. But now it's just I don't know. I just want to play. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
and don't have to worry about missing things and playing again because oh, I missed this one collectible and whatnot. But
Yeah, I remember Dragon Age 2, I think it was. I missed one collectible. And that game is like 100 hours long. And I missed one collectible in a cave that I couldn't go back to. And that's literally the one thing that meant I didn't get the Platinum Trophy. Because I'm like, I'm not playing the entire game with a checklist for all the collectibles after I just did all of them except one. There's just no way I'm doing that. So hopefully we don't get too many of those games.
I mean, it seems like we're getting a lot less. It seems like the plat lists are kind of getting shorter. But I think in general they have been getting easier too. Because like if you remember back in the day, you had to play like everything on the hardest difficulty and all this. But now it's like almost everything you can play on easy mode. Well, until the DLC comes out, and then they make you play
Right.
on grounded. But
I mean, that's fine because it doesn't affect the platinum.
yeah, so for you, you don't go for DLC trophy. Well, you say
No.
you're not a completionist, so it wouldn't matter for you.
Yeah, and again, like I earned the platinum, and then the game is deleted. So by the time the DLC comes out, I'm no longer playing that game. So that's too late. The only exception recently, I guess, is Ghost of Tsushima, because they're adding this co-op stuff, which I'm very intrigued by. I'm not gonna probably care about the trophies whenever I can play it, but I do love myself some co-op games, so I had to reinstall that game in preparation for that update.
I mean, it's not coming out for a while.
No, but now I'll keep it'll stay patched and all that in the meantime, so I don't have to download a massive patch whenever it does come out. So it's just gonna be more ready, I guess, saving a bit of time. But I guess I think the reason that trophy lists are getting easier is because I imagine, and maybe this is just wishful thinking, but I feel like more developers are catching on to the fact that trophies actually matter to a lot of people, and I think they matter to more and more people. Obviously, we're still in the minority. Most people don't care; they just want to play the game. But I think developers are catching on to the fact that trophies do matter to many people, and I think they're catching on to the fact that because they matter, they get a lot of traction on social media, and obviously that kind of thing helps sell the game, especially long term. So
Yeah,
I
when
think
people
trophy
are
lists are getting easier, so that people more easily can tweet about it, celebrate the platinum, and sell the game to their friends indirectly. I think that's why it's happening.
yeah, I was thinking that a little while back too, because it's just like, oh man, I got the Spider-Man plat or whatever, and then they post it on
Exactly.
social media, and it's just free advertising.
Yeah, and I think I have not checked this, but I have a feeling that a lot of these games, like God of War, Spider-Man, all these games, I feel like usually if you just play the game, you are typically 70-75% through the platinum by the time you just finish it normally.
Yeah.
And I think that is very intentional so that more people go, you know what, I'm only 10 trophies away. Let's just keep playing and earn that platinum, because that prevents you from selling the game, right? You just hold on to it a couple weeks longer to just finish off that list. So I think it's very intentional that a lot more games you end up at like 70 or more percent, because it's so close, I might as well finish it, right? So I think it's very calculated by the devs, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And now you one of the reasons I was thinking of having you on, you do community management of things. And I'm wondering, does that have any influence on why you stick with trophies? Why you uh, yeah, I don't know, things of that nature influence the fact that I don't know, you want to
Yeah,
earn the plats and stuff?
yeah, I mean, so interestingly, community is a big part of the reason why I trophy hunt, but it is actually not because of any of the communities that I manage. Uh, so obviously, I have this, and people might know this. I think still the biggest trophy hunting community on PS4 called Trophy Hunters. I believe that's still the biggest one on the platform. Obviously, that's my community with just under 28,000 members, and obviously a lot of people are in there sharing their platinums. I don't actually share my platinums very often in there, even though I probably should. But the community that really keeps me going is the one on Twitter. That's the one that I care about the most, like on a day-to-day basis. And I think that is the community that keeps me going. The part of it, part of why I keep at it, is all of us who are cheering each other on, if you will, on Twitter, celebrating each other's victories and each other's milestones and each other's this and that and difficult platinums or stacks or whatever it might be. And I think that is part of why it's still fun after this many years, because we just it's a shared experience. If it was just me in a bubble earning platinums, I would still enjoy it, but I wouldn't get as much enjoyment out of each individual one because I'll just be like, yay, platinum, then move on. But now it's yay, platinum, and then you tweet about it, and then suddenly you have maybe a conversation about it. You know, it's a thing for maybe a day or two instead of 5 minutes, next platinum, move on. So that just, you know, I mentioned before, the platinum adds more to the experience, and so I feel like celebrating the platinum with other trophy hunters adds even more on top of that, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking that of late too. If you're in a community that is also into trophies, I feel like it. I don't want to say keeps you in it in a way, but it makes it more. You're less likely to leave, I guess, and just
Yeah,
start doing other stuff.
yeah, exactly. And I think especially now, for those of us that don't like, that aren't competitive with trophies anymore. You know, we don't chase the leaderboards because it requires all these stacks and all these games that we don't want to play for various reasons. I think with that taken out, like, I think having this community of people that you trophy hunt with is even more important because it kind of replaces, like, you don't hunt to be the best. You hunt to have platinums alongside all your friends on social, right? So it just adds like a less competitive but still like very much involved community, you know, platinum chasing aspect to it. So I think, yeah, just these communities are increasingly important now. I think, if you're not like otherwise competitive.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the issue I have is it's just like my trophy number is kind of based just being high up on the leaderboard, and it's just like all these like trash stacks of things. But then it's like I feel like I have to do
You're in
them.
too deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be that way too. I was like, I just, yeah, and that's the thing. A thing that I noticed happened. I realized this last year was that, you know, I would come into work, and obviously I work in the video games industry, so it makes sense. But I would come into work, and the first question I get from anyone that knows me will be, "Oh, so what did you platinum of the weekend?" So, you know, that's literally the first question I would always get, and that just shows that like once you have a lot of platinums and you hunt for a while, there is this expectation from everyone around you that, oh, that's the guy who gets a lot of platinums or does this and does that, and so that makes it harder again to be like, let's step back because there's this expectation from everyone else that you hunt all the time. And again, I still enjoy it, but I feel like if I didn't enjoy it, I wonder if that expectation would clash with what I actually wanted to do. So again, it's not a problem right now, and hopefully it never will be. But we'll see if eventually I grow tired of it. But there's still this expectation that I continue.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of at that clashing point, but I'm also at the point where it's like you're like you said, I'm in too deep and I have to
Yeah,
keep up with all the 5 minute plats, and that's why it's I don't know, becoming kind of unfun and tedious for the last few years. But yeah, I don't have the experience really of being in, like you said, a community where it's not like super competitive leaderboard wise, but it's just more of a sharing the plat stuff. I mean, I probably was way back when, potentially, but I don't really remember those days as well because, or as yeah, as much because it's just been years of oh, you're in the communities that just care about ranking on leaderboards and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
part of why I decided to make this series because I'm questioning why. I know trophy hunting and stuff is different for different people and all that, but
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously the key thing is, I mean, I imagine most people will. This will be obvious to most people is that like do whatever you enjoy, and if you stop enjoying whatever you're doing, change course. And it's obviously easier said than done, especially if you're in so deep, like you're among the best in the world or have most in the world or whatever. Like the higher on those lists that you become, the more difficult it is to step back because the expectation just grows exponentially.
yeah,
But I think like for everyone's own sake, long term, I think it's very important to be willing to step back and be like, am I actually enjoying what I'm doing? And if I'm not, how can I make this more enjoyable? Otherwise, you just gotta you might. The thing is, if you go all in and you keep going all in until you burn yourself out, then you will be forced out of the race anyway because you'll be burned out. So like, it's not sustainable regardless. At some point, you're gonna be like, what the hell am I doing? And then you've just wasted God knows how many hours and how much money and how much whatever on trying to get burn yourself out faster to stay competitive, and then eventually you drop out anyway, and then it's all for nothing because you then start dropping down these lists. And I'm not saying that'll happen to everyone, but that is just a valid concern, I think, and something people should consider before they force it upon themselves to keep earning more and more and more platinums, which is very easy to do.
yeah.
But I think one thing that I do, like on top of, and I don't know if you have a question, if you had a question about this later on, but kind of relating to, what keeps me going. Like the community obviously is part of it, but another thing that keeps me going is the one of the ways that I feel like I get more out of my platinums is I don't know if you've seen this on my Twitter. I will like try to make fun little milestones and make an extra challenge, add an extra layer on top of my platinum hunting. So it's not just about earning the platinum and then that's it. Like I mentioned at the top,
Fallout 444.
Fallout 4 exactly for platinum 444, but I'm actually taking it even beyond that. So the reason I'm only one trophy away, I'm literally in the game 30 seconds away from earning the platinum. I could do that today. But the reason I'm not is because I am adding another layer on top of that platinum to make it even more fun for myself. So Fallout 4 is going to be my platinum 444, but it's also, once I have that platinum, going to be 444 trophies away from my target of this year. Okay. And that is obviously, it's all like spreadsheets and everything to make sure that that works. So, platinum 444 is going to be 444 trophies away from my goal of 2020. Again, just add another layer of the craziness to just make it even more fun and satisfying during this platinum.
What's your goal of 2020?
22,222 trophies.
Oh, okay.
And I want to line that up with 450 platinums. So those two things are going to happen at the same time. I always do that. Like last year I hit 400 platinums and 20,000 trophies at the same time. So I always like line those up, and so this year 22222 and 450 just work together. And then because it was, so I'm doing this Fallout 4 thing, which is the only like fun little milestone I'm doing on the way to 450. Because last year when I was like getting close to 400, what I did, I don't know if you saw this either, I tweeted a few days ago again. Another like way to make it more fun and interesting was I kind of did a reverse countdown to 400. So this happened, I think, I finished it in mid-November last year. It was my goal last year was 20,000 and 400 platinums. But what I did leading up to 400 was my platinum 391 was a game called Knights of Pen and Paper +1, and then 392 Sniper Elite V2, 393 Nightwares from the Deep 3, and so on and so forth. So every game had the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in them, counting up to 400. It just is another little fun thing. It's another added challenge.
Getting creative and getting crazy too with your spreadsheetness and all this.
Exactly. Like I have a spreadsheet for the 450 where it literally lists what games I'm playing and when. So I have a certain amount of trophies at certain points, so that I don't overshoot, and so everything lines up, and so I can do this 4-4-4 thing and all that. Like it's. I always do this when I get close to my milestones, just to make sure that everything lines up. But that's obviously extremely overkill. Like most people, even within the trophy hunting community, might call me crazy, and people have called me crazy on Twitter, and that is fine. But again, this is just me adding another layer to make it even more interesting for myself. And I think, like, if maybe that's what it takes for some people to keep going. You know, if they feel like, oh, I'm getting burned out by earning platinums, well, maybe try to figure out if there is a way for you to still enjoy it. Is there something you can do to make it enjoyable, even though otherwise you might be bored of it or whatever? And this for me works 100% because it's tricky. Sometimes it is very tricky because you force yourself to play certain things at certain times, obviously, because these like spreadsheets and lists. But it's so satisfying to pull it off. It's so very satisfying.
Have you ever missed?
No, because a lot of like the spreadsheet I'm using right now, I've spent hours like making, iterating on, changing this and that. I've never missed so far, so hopefully I never will. It could happen, of course. Like I'm always a bit nervous. I used to have a PS3 back at my parents' house, and it used to. My nephew used to be able to play on it. He can't anymore because it's I've changed my password so he can't log in. But I was always nervous that he was going to play something on it and unlock a trophy that I didn't know about and then bump me over. So now I've changed the password. Now that cannot happen because God forbid, right? Like it's just like the lead up to these, the lead up to 400. That took me like 3 months to get those very specific games at very specific times. And so there's like months and months of planning that goes into it sometimes, and so you don't want something random to fucking that up for you. But it's like I said, it's very satisfying. Like another example that I did this year, it was on, and maybe you shouldn't talk about drugs, I guess, on stuff that goes on YouTube. But for 420 day, I did. Again, this was something I had planned for a couple of months. But on 420 days, so on April 20th, I earned my platinum 420, and I did that at 4:20 p.m. And I did that in Narcos, which is the subject of that game is 420. So it was literally 420 all the way for my platinum 420. Just another fun little thing that I did back in April. So stuff like that, I think, is immensely satisfying to pull off.
Yeah, I've never heard of someone go that extreme. I've heard of milestones. I'm gonna make this plat 500 or whatever, but not that in depth.
I add layers upon layers if I can. So whenever it's possible, I'm like, is there a way I can make this more interesting so it isn't just another platinum, Because especially when so many people get so many platinums all the time, they stop feeling special. So I just look for ways that I can make them feel special.
Gotcha.
Even though it is extreme.
Alright, so let's go into the hypothetical if trophies didn't exist thing. Has that changed your way of gaming and stuff like that compared to what you used to? I mean, I know it's different for you because you were probably doing a bunch of reviews and stuff like that, but
I'm not anymore. I don't review anymore. I think reviewing these days would probably be a bit of a conflict of interest because I work at a video game developer, so kind of reviewing other people's games might be a bit weird. So I don't do that anymore. But if games didn't have trophies at all, man, I would probably play more MMOs, to be honest.
Okay.
I would probably go back to Final Fantasy 14 and just keep going. again, like even though I've spent thousands of hours in that game, which is I'm quite impressed with myself having as many platinums as I do, considering I've spent thousands of hours playing one game. But imagine I could have earned hundreds of platinums in that time.
You could have earned thousands.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if I played the right games, I could have earned thousands. That's true. Yeah, I think even with average amount of hours, I calculated a while back, like I could have literally have doubled my amount of platinums if I had not played Final Fantasy 14 in that same amount of time. But that was just a guilty pleasure and just something I enjoyed, and that's still the key thing for me is just enjoying what I do. And luckily, I still enjoy trophy hunting very much, especially because I add these layers to it that makes it more interesting. But I think if games didn't have trophies anymore, which luckily is probably never going to happen because there's literally money to be made. But yeah, I think I'll go back to playing more online games and just like go all in on like one or two games probably. Yeah, and enjoy a different kind of community, I guess, instead of trophy hunting.
Yeah. So I guess kind of similar. We kind of talked about this, but I'm assuming trophies keep you on PlayStation, or would you still be a PlayStation diehard? Might not be the word, but
I think diehard is fair enough. So I own a Switch. I bought a Switch like a week before Mario Odyssey came out with the full intention of, oh, I'm gonna play the hell out of this game. But I think I literally played 5 hours. I was like, I miss trophies, and so I just stopped playing. And I have not really touched my Switch since, and so it's just. I think I've had the Switch for 3 years, and it's been used for a total of like 15 hours, most of which was for work. And so I just, if there are no trophies to be earned, I just can't. I feel like I waste time, you know?
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Again, if I could spend 5 hours earning trophies or 5 hours not, I'm gonna earn trophies. So, yeah, I'm hooked to trophies in that sense, and I think a lot of us are.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that keeps us hooked on the PlayStation as well at this point.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
this probably ties back into why first-party games are becoming easier to platinum. It's because it keeps people engaged. So.
Yeah, keeps people looking forward to that PS5, PS6, PS7.
Yeah.
Because all that transfers and you don't want to lose it. All that
exactly,
work.
and hopefully, speaking of next, like the thing I really hope they do is like take trophies to the next level, and I don't necessarily mean next level compared to everything that exists, but certainly next level compared to what is on PS4. I think they need to, like, the ideal system for me would be a mixture between what we have now and what Xbox has now. So it would be a system that obviously has platinums because they're not going anywhere, and also like actually fully tracks everything you're doing. Like on Xbox, you can see if you have 78 out of 100 kills or whatever in game, you can see that on the achievement. And I want that on PS5. I really hope that's the thing. Just to, again, like, because trophies are literally selling games, and because they are keeping people engaged and preventing people from, or people hold on to their games for longer because of trophies, I feel like it is in Sony's interest to make the system easy to get into, like make it more appealing to be like, oh man, I'm so close to this trophy, and then we keep going. So I really hope that is part of next gen.
Yeah, that tracker is very nice.
It's very nice, especially for games where, like, especially when something has just come out and there isn't a guide for it yet. Like, there are so many times where I'm like, am I doing the right thing? Is this counting? Is this actually am I killing the right enemy? Am I in the right location? And if you have a tracker telling you 1 out of 4, well, then you know you're on the right track. And so just simple stuff like that, I think, is crucial, and so helpful. So I'm very jealous of that tracker. So again, like mixing that tracker with our current levels and XP and platinums, I think would be great.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're kind of coming up on an hour here. Do you have anything else you wanna add, or?
Oh man, I think I always secretly hope that more people go as crazy as me with these fun little milestones or whatever you want to call them. And if anyone does, let me know at DKShadow on Twitter or whatever. I'd love to celebrate with you because I think it's awesome, especially just making the most out of our lovely platinums. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, play what you want, platinum what you want, as long as you enjoy it, by all means.
Yeah, so you want to shout out any of your social media stuff? I'll link whatever you give me in the description.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter is really the only one I use, so just at DKShadow on Twitter. I mean, again, it's the same on PSN, although I've stopped adding people on PSN that I don't know, because my friend list used to be 2,000 from when I was verified, and from when I worked at PlayStation, so it used to be full, and it literally broke a lot of games, so I've stopped adding people because it breaks games when you have too many friends. So now I don't add anyone, so like, again, you can follow my shenanigans on PSN if you want, but Twitter is probably the one place to find me. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you could be one of those 92.5K followers. That's insane. Absolutely insanity. All right, well, I'm gonna wrap it up here. You can follow my links will be in the description. You were an awesome guest. Good insights.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And with that being said, everybody have a good night, good morning, enjoy your games. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys again next time. Goodbye, everybody.